good morning. This morning we're here with Brandon Lowery, and he is the Executive Vice President of iServe. But he, more importantly, is a parent and a father and a Christian. And we have a lot to talk about today, hopefully some insight, and just have some real conversations about what it's like being a father of a student with unique abilities, running and managing companies and businesses, how to incorporate that. So I'm excited for what's to come.
Yay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We also have Nancy with us this morning, too. She is our co-host. And so we're going to welcome Nancy.
Thank you. I'm excited, nervous.
Previously, Nancy's worked with our work program, and Mr. Lowery also works with our students from the work program. So we're going to talk a little bit more about what that means for students to be involved in the workplace from day to day and to get that experience under their belts. So welcome, Brandon.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Morning. So tell us a little bit more about, I just want to know how you got to where you are right now. Why did you choose this occupation, this path, this passion?
So a part of my journey is right after high school, I went into the Marine Corps. It was, since I was a kid, I just wanted to be a Marine and it looked like it was cool and fun, and I was extremely competitive. So I went into the Marines, and I was a part of Operation Iraqi Freedom. So that kind of let me know that I wanted to get out of the Marines after that. So
like, oh, thank you.
I took my chances going over and got back. All right, that's good. Let's move on. So my goal then was to go to school, go to college, started working on a degree. While I was working on a degree, I worked in restaurants, and it was really something that just kind of always came natural. As I ended up getting a degree in marketing, but as I went through restaurants, it was just really natural to me. I loved, fed off the energy of people. I love food. I like the hospitality aspect, taking care of people. And at a certain point, I realized that in restaurants, you can impact a lot of lives. And, you see a lot of people every day. And sometimes just feeding someone a meal makes them feel good,
Yeah.
Makes me feel good.
I know. When I don't have to cook, I feel great.
I feel great. Someone's doing the dishes.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
So it's really became like you could invite someone to your house every day. So in the short narrative, that's how I ended up in restaurants, and I'm fortunate to have started with my company now in 2016.
So which restaurants are you managing or working with?
Yeah, so our restaurants so I'm a part of a management group, and we have 29 Sonny's Barbecue, mostly over Florida. There's a few in Georgia. We have 5 Giovanni's Italian restaurants in Orlando. We also have a IT company called TechServe, and recently started a coffee brand that's called Symmetry Coffee that's in Ocala. And we're starting to roast our own coffee and do some of those things. So obviously all those brands have some really exceptional and good people that work in them, but I'm fortunate to be a part of that. So we have about, at this time, 1,700 employees across Florida and Georgia. So it's really cool.
And so now let's talk about the dad aspect of life, because you've made some incredible leaps and bounds professionally, right?
Yeah.
So where did family come in? When did you meet Bethany? When did all that start?
So we met in 2012. We happened to live in the same apartment complex in Orlando. I had just recently moved here in 2011, and so was she. And we met, became friends, and
Like across the hall, you're like, hey.
Oh, you're doing your laundry also?
Yeah, you want to go to the gym later?
Yeah.
might have actually been at like the trash run or something.
Right,
I don't know.
That's perfect.
But it was really cool. I think it was good for our relationship because we became friends first, and so then we got married in 2014, and Bethany was one of those folks, or one of those people, and myself that just really wanted to start a family. So now we have 3 boys. So
God bless you.
Yes, right.
Do you think the military prepared you for that?
No,
Do you think?
no, never
Okay,
met any guys
okay.
as tough as these 3 together.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
They have a synergy.
They
just
could
all
run.
their
They
own.
could run the boot camp, probably, right?
Yeah. If anything, the military taught me how to protect myself from them.
Oh.
you know?
Oh,
So-
that's great. We might all
I
need boot
think it's
camp. I don't
tactics
know.
for that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Nice.
So how old are they now? What age ranges are they?
Yeah, so Maddox is 8 years old. Daxton, he's 4 years old, about to be 5. And Brax is 2 years old. So.
Okay. So Nancy, I know that you worked with Mr. Lowery in our work program.
Right.
And I think the worlds kind of collide here about, I have questions about how you opened the door to incorporate unique abilities and students with unique abilities in that experience. But I think that's going to have to start with you, Nancy, because you kind of completely spearheaded this entire project for us. So
It's kind of funny how I met you, because I was in the classroom working, just, normal day. And Mrs. Alexander called me down to the office, and I went in and I was hit with this. This is, here are the Lowerys. Mr. Lowery really wants you to be involved in Sonny's with your students. And I'm thinking, what? I usually have to go out and, knock down
you
the
have
doors.
to pursue, right? Yeah.
Right. So it was amazing. It was amazing. And I think the realization for me that, of course, you want to be involved. You're preparing for your own child, was amazing for you to see the potential in the high schoolers that were already there and know that this will pave the way for your child.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was refreshing. I will say, when I first started, like, reaching out to Chick-fil-A was not hard.
Yeah.
A lot of companies have an employee that is touched by our community.
Yeah.
And that really connects us. Because even though you opened this up for us, which was amazing, when I met your manager, which was Brittany,
Yeah.
I could tell right away by the way she treated us, she was touched by it in her life. And of course, she did divulge a story to me, and I realized she was. So having the confidence to let these kids into your restaurants, all the places that we get to go, is so empowering to them.
Yeah.
It's probably really hard to see while they're there, but it's very apparent when they leave and they go home, and the things that they do, and the respect that you guys, I mean, it almost makes me want to cry, because the respect that is given. Your Sonny's employees, they're our people. I mean, the respect that they give our kids is amazing. Amazing.
So what does that look like? Because I know when we say like work program, right? We're like, ooh,
Right.
child labor.
Right.
That's
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's free help.
not
so
quite the direction we're going.
Everybody
So-
feeds us. That's our payment. So we love that.
But what does a day look like in the work program and working with Sonny's?
So with Sonny's and with a couple of the other places that we go, it requires a uniform, right? The uniform itself is empowering. I look just like all the other employees. So I belong, right? So when they show up for school, they have a uniform check. We have to make sure that everyone's dressed appropriately. And then we get in our bus, our 14-passenger bus, and we drive to Sonny's. And at Sonny's, it varies. Some of the jobs are big. It's amazing,
Yeah.
right? Like, you trust us to something that you probably say, and I do it at home all the time. I mix the coleslaw. Okay, you're trusting us.
People are passionate about food at Sonny's.
Exactly.
If you mess
Yeah.
up the coleslaw,
People are passionate about Sonny's, okay? We have a teacher I won't say who it is. He's obsessed, like, with your ranch. And when she found out and we realized it was made there, that was a really big deal. And then one of the students got to make it. So
that's cool.
it is huge. It is huge. But they're doing everything. They're just cleaning the dining room, prepping the silverware, but they're back in there making the coleslaw, making the ranch, filling containers. Something I found really cool. Maybe other restaurants do this, but how would I know? I don't work there. You section out like the tater tots and the corn nuggets and the only thing. So everybody is getting the same amount. We are doing life skill math. We are doing so many life skill academics you wouldn't even imagine.
Like, you're taking the classroom outside of those four walls. Right?
Exactly.
And how motivated are they to learn? Because personally,
Once they put the uniform on, they're sold.
yeah. Because like I could look at a textbook or I could sit down with food. and I could learn the same lesson.
Right.
But which one am I going to be more
Right.
motivated to learn, right?
Yeah.
Right. And do I want them to know geometry? I mean, okay, maybe, but do I want them to know that, these are the requirements for working?
Mm-hmm.
You have to have this on. You have to keep your hands clean. You have to wear gloves. And now, you have to count. We have to count while we're here. You're responsible for the way the coleslaw tastes because it's a high bar that's been set.
How empowering to be held to that same expectation, right? I mean, that in itself is a form of respect.
Exactly.
I don't want someone to drop the bar for me. Or you.
And when they go there, they look the same.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Right? We didn't put them in a purple shirt that says, okay, well, this is the unique abilities group and we're the regular Sonny's workers. They look like everyone that's there and they know that.
Yeah.
They know that.
So when you reached out to Nancy, what brought you to that point where you were like, I don't know if it was like a revelation or an epiphany where you're like, oh, wait, this is something we could do, right? Is that something you had done before or?
Yeah. So, having a kid with unique abilities myself, we've talked about it before, but just thinking about their future, there becomes this, when they're small, you think, oh, this is, he just maxed out the ABA goal. So we're going to get there. It's just going to progressively get better and better and better and better. And I think everyone in life just kind of is naturally programmed that things just kind of go up straight like this. But that is not the case, especially not with a kid with unique abilities. There's a lot of this, and I think you get to a certain point as your kid gets older that you think about, all right, like you said, geometry is no longer our focus.
Exactly.
This dream of being president or a doctor may not be our focus, but how are we going to get the best
and don't give up on achieving it. Yeah. It could happen.
Yeah,
but let's use the oven.
Yes.
Let's make coffee.
Yeah.
Just the independence is the academic that they need. And for a lot of parents, it's hard to see that. Yes. But by high school, you have to see it.
Yeah, you have to see it.
You have to see it.
I think there's a big gap anyway in just basic life skills, understanding.
There's basic gap of life skills in mainstream school.
Mainstream school.
I mean, they're not teaching
you graduate high school, they kick you out and they're like, go for it. And then you're at college and you're like, I don't even know how to make macaroni and cheese. What, laundry? Who's that?
I don't know how to do laundry, make mac and cheese.
How do I balance my checking account?
Yeah, I have no idea how to even open a checking account.
Exactly.
I don't have any idea how to look at it, nor do I understand simple interests or how to pay car insurance or what I should have on my car or
cooking's not taught, sewing's not taught, nothing
resume,
is taught, like a resume.
Yeah.
So really, our community is ahead of them in some ways. Yeah.
And there's something basic in restaurants is temperature danger zones, right? So, you want to keep food either really cold or really hot, under 41 degrees or above 135 degrees. And that's something that's not taught. So if you're a kid and you're growing up, you don't know how to make food safe.
Exactly.
There's nowhere that
going
really
to those
ever
midnight
teaches you
potlucks
that.
where everyone brings their own macaroni and sits out for 3 hours.
Right. And the cheese is starting to look a little.
And everyone misses their finals. They don't know why.
You become the person who's like, no.
Something's up with my stomach. It's odd.
Why did my whole class get wiped out?
Exactly. We were lucky enough to be there one day when inspectors came. So that was a great lesson for the kids. Like, why would they come?
Yeah.
Why would they come? What are they here for? And why can't we go back in the kitchen? So that was really good.
Yeah.
So we could explain to them what they would be checking. They would be checking the temperature of the oil. They would be checking the temperature of the fridge. That was really good. Yeah. Really good. I mean, for your Maddox's age, it's just a matter of what goes into the refrigerator and what doesn't.
It doesn't.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
It sounds so simple, but it is not. It is not.
It's fun. Sometimes at home now when I cook, Maddox will go he really likes quesadillas. All the boys like quesadillas. So if I make
he loves
quesadillas,
Taco Bell.
So if I make quesadillas at home, he starts bringing me the butter and the cheese and the spatula and
amazing.
Like that.
And he knows the cheese has got to come out of the refrigerator.
Yes,
and
he knows exactly where to get that and put that back. But kind of going back to it, I going through that journey myself. A long time in restaurants, I've thought we do a work with a purpose. Is that if you can impact people and impact lives, you should in some way. And I just see this huge gap in the workforce and kids of different abilities being able to learn on the job training and really get just good fundamentals from that. And it's something that most of the people that are really good at their career are good at the on the job stuff. You know, it's very, very simple. A lot of them, a lot of people went to school, a lot of people did a lot of different things, but to become good at your job, you have to be good on the job.
Right.
So the on the job training is just something
it's priceless.
Just really passionate about that.
So I know our students, we have parents that reach out to us continuously and telling like us how their lives have changed at home. I mean, we see it in the classroom. It's like night and day. But I know that just the way that God works, right? I know that there's got to be a benefit on your side too. Do you find a benefit in your company by having that population involved? Do you see any kind of benefit?
Yeah, well, one, having a kid at the First Hope, I see parents there who are like, my kid won't stop talking about Sonny's barbecue.
Right.
He really, really loves it. He loves it.
Some inherent marketing,
It was cool. There was a kid too that she's like, he's never eaten a pulled pork sandwich in his life, and he ate a pulled
I know
pork
exactly
sandwich.
who you're talking about.
And vested interest really now,
cool.
He knows what it's called. He knows what's on it, and he knows that that's
Yeah, and I think just kind of company wise, what I'm really proud of is having a team that wants to do that and believes in that. And
that's the big deal. You can be on board, but if your team is not, it becomes very awkward for us.
And
the kids feel it.
Yeah.
They know.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we are so welcome. Like I said, those are our people.
Yeah.
We are welcomed. We are not judged. And sometimes they'll say, this is what I'm going to have you do today. And I am like, oh, okay. Are you sure? And the belief that they have in them is, again, I'm not really an emotional person, but those are my kids. Those work program kids, that's our future.
Yeah.
And like we were discussing a little bit before we started, my goal is complete independence. And so what if all I got across was macaroni and cheese in the microwave and that's all they eat? I don't care. They made that macaroni and cheese, or we're really good at like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Right.
We can survive on all those things. We can survive on all those things, because just like mainstream families, they're going to come home and have a Sunday dinner. They're going to get one good meal a week. But knowing that they can do the littlest of things. He probably can make that quesadilla on his own right now. He may burn the first, and that's the other thing, right? Let him burn it. Yeah. It's okay.
It's okay.
Let him burn the first few. Not the house down, just the quesadilla. Just the quesadilla. Right?
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. And you bring all that to the table.
I love that our people too kind of, they push the envelope. They don't just say, oh, the work program's here, we're just going to do the same silverware every single week. The kids catch on and they get good at these things. So let's push them, and I love seeing them push because, my son, I don't want you to take it easy on him. I want you to push him to be better.
And if we fall back the next week, it's okay.
That's fine. Yeah.
It's okay. It's not a big deal.
We all do that.
Move on.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But please, and they do. Like I said, they have given them tasks that I thought, oh, are you sure?
Yeah.
We're absolutely sure. Okay. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And I see for our staff too, when you talk about the company, the staff that interacts with the work program, they have this fulfillment as well, that they're not just coming to a job. They're not just coming to serve guests. They're not just coming to clean floors. They have a purpose. We had a dishwasher that would go around and show the work program stuff to do,
Right.
And he loved that. And, a lot of people would think of a dishwasher as not a job that could impact lives, right? And
it's huge. And they get to see the end result. That's something they do love too. Like dishes, like from the beginning to the end result, the packaging that we do of the dressings, butter, things like that. When their lunch comes, they're like, do you think this is the one I put together? And it's empowering to them that it does make it to the table.
Yeah.
It's not just an exercise. It's a job.
Yes.
It really is your job.
Yeah.
So you and Bethany kind of meet, taking out the trash or whatever it was, and then you build this family together. A couple of surprises in there, I'm sure, for you guys, and you've built this beautiful life. And I would suggest that you're living in what I would call the greater than, where you're not just surviving in your own little bubble, getting from day to day. You've stepped into this arena of greater than, where you are impacting other lives. You are encouraging other people, inspiring other people. It is not self-focused, and you've branched out. And I think that's kind of what God has called all of us to do, is to bear fruit, right? At what point do you bear fruit? You can, you can fertilize the soil, and you can plant yourself, and you can grow some really strong roots. But the moment that you start bearing fruit, that moment is life-changing for you, but also everyone around you. But then there's the responsibility that comes with that. How do you balance the ministering in your own home and leading and guiding in your own home, and then also impacting so many lives at work and what you do at work, and then changing the lives of these young kids? I mean, that's a lot to juggle. That's a lot kind of up in the air.
Yeah.
Do you find that balance easily? Are you intentional about it?
Yeah, I think I probably have a different response here, but my first initial response is, to me, there is no balance, right? You have one cup and you're pouring it out. And so if you're pouring it here, that's where you're giving your energy, and somebody else is not getting your energy.
That's a good point.
And so I think this myth that you can find some type of work-life balance or home-life balance, even with our own home, we have 3 kids, and they all have different needs and abilities. And so if you're giving to one, the other is not getting
Someone's
in that
out,
moment, and especially
You're
with 3.
outnumbered.
Yeah, we're
I was
outnumbered.
going to say you're way outnumbered.
Okay, he is outnumbered, but Bethany is really outnumbered. Okay.
There are 4
Do
you guys have any pets?
in that
Are they all
we
boys?
have a dog. He's a boy. as
Oh,
well.
Lord, she's really outnumbered.
Yep.
We had the dog first, and we kept bringing kids home, and it was funny when we brought Maddox home. He actually just stopped eating the dog because he was Bethany's best friend.
Everything.
They rode in the car every day together.
Yeah.
They went places. He went to the car wash. He got the pup cup from Starbucks every day, and then all of a sudden this baby comes home, and he's like,
when is he going
on
back?
here?
The older sibling thing going on.
So Bethany was the only person that could get him to eat, and she had to sit and feed him off a plate, and we still do
And then
that
those boys
12
just
years
kept
later.
coming home.
They just keep coming and coming.
Dog of thought.
No, the first one wasn't too bad. This last one you brought home, he's annihilating me as I get older. But yeah, I think that it's to try to find balance is really tough, and you'll probably drive yourself crazy. And I think you said a good word was intentional. Be intentional. Try not to waste energy. Try to be efficient. I'm big on efficiency. It's tough because I drive a lot. And so I see the road and I'm like, if you would go here, you'd be really efficient, the best efficient way. And so I'm really big on efficiency. So I think you really have to be intentional, but I'd be lying to say that it's easy or, it's not easy. I think faith and being intentional guides me to do things, but it's certainly not easy. And sometimes it's way easier to get back to a community than it is to try to impact every single day in your own home, So that's what I would say about the work-life balance and balancing those things.
And I know this gets kind of personal, kind of up in your dirty laundry here, but how does that work for your marriage?
It's tough. Yeah, it's tough. I think, I heard some other people talk about their marriages, especially through like I talked about, the ups and downs of having a kid with unique abilities and then having other kids in that fray. And it's very tough. And I think, in marriages, you naturally look, when you're going through tough times, you look for blame, right? And so your nature is to blame the only other person you can blame. Can't blame your kids.
Exactly.
Or the dog.
You can blame work, but they're not there in your house. You can blame the dog. He can't talk back. So you naturally look to blame your spouse. I think after we had children, it's the first time we're counting the things we did in a day. You know, I changed 9 diapers, you changed 7, or, you know.
You're like, we used to have so much time in a day. I don't understand. Where did it go?
Yeah, you blink.
So much time, got so much sleep. What
exactly,
happened? So,
exactly.
So yeah, it's very trying on your marriage, you know, because it's the only other person that you have to kind of lean on and support. And it's really tough on the times where, you know, if both of you are down, you know, because who gets up? So yeah, it's very, very trying.
And giving each other grace.
Yes.
But your foundation appears from the outside to be solid. And like you have mentioned, keeping Christ in that. That's your third person in your relationship, right?
Absolutely.
That's
something that recently got a lot better in our lives too, is through the First Hope. It really kind of introduced us to First Orlando, and it's the only place that we found that actually has a special needs program during the services.
Yeah.
So we're able to, all 3 of our kids are able to go their separate ways in their separate rooms, and we're able to go enjoy service together, which is something we were never
taking
able to
date
do.
nights on Sunday mornings
Yeah,
now.
right.
Is that what's
Yeah. It's amazing that they can have their own independence also, right? So the 3 of them can go into their separate rooms and with friends, right? I mean, maybe different friends every Sunday, but they're peers, right? And that is something that not many churches have.
No,
to
not
offer.
at all. Especially when you talk about special needs,
right.
there's generally no.
I think there's goals in churches, but they don't.
Yeah.
First Baptist stepped up to the plate.
Yeah. And I think Christianity as a whole has come a long way. I think there's a history with special needs and unique abilities even in biblical times, right? And that is a whole other conversation on its own. But yeah, one of the things that is incredibly touching and spiritually just liberating is to be part of a community who makes space and is accepting and is loving, and it does it out of compassion and empathy. And I know that earlier we were talking about when the students go to Sonny's, right? And they're wearing their uniform and they're just accepted by everyone. Okay, but I think that's something we all want.
Exactly.
Like as an adult, I
want somebody to be excited that I showed up.
Exactly.
You know,
like walking into a community. Could you imagine walking through life and not ever having to worry about how others perceive your impact, or whether or not you are accepted, or whether or not you are judged? Or I think these are some fundamental human experiences that are magnified, right? They're magnified by a unique ability or a physical appearance or whatever it is. But it's just a baseline human experience that we become so aware of with our children with unique abilities. And what a great opportunity to, I don't know, give them what we wish we had.
Yes.
Right.
I think as an educator, that's my purpose and passion, right? As an educator is like, I want to give them the experience I never had. I want school outside of the walls.
Yeah.
I want life experience.
Exactly.
I want life skills, you know? Yeah. And I think that's at First Orlando, they do a wonderful job. They do a wonderful job of doing that. Do you take dates outside of church?
We try to. Once we have 3, it gets tough to get babysitters.
Yeah. I was going to say, how does babysitters work? Like, how does that whole...
3 is tough. We were fortunate recently. Bethany's parents were around, so we got some time at a resort to spend some time together. But it's definitely a focus and something we probably need to focus more on, I think, in the future. So, but you know, as I was saying earlier, sometimes as your kids get older with unique abilities, they become tougher. You know, Maddox is a big kid. So if he's not pointed in the right direction, he isn't the easiest to babysit, I guess, you know, or, you know, so it takes a special individual or unique individual.
And he's growing up, right? He's very aware. He's aware of who he might be able to push around and who he won't. So bringing in a babysitter that is new to him, even if you've tried to educate the babysitter the best you can, you know, he's smart.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to be like,
absolutely.
oh, those things mom won't let me do. Oh, guess what we're doing?
Yep, here we go.
Yep.
So.
No, mom loves when my brothers ride the dog as a horse around the house. No. This is something we do all the time.
This is great.
And it doesn't take words, right? It doesn't take words. They just act it out.
Oh, yeah.
And There goes that babysitter.
Yes, absolutely. I was going to say that earlier real quick about just kind of connecting in the workforce with unique abilities community was I'm naturally just kind of direct, I guess you can't be kind of direct. I am direct and
efficient. So yes,
and it's something that I learned that in that community, they don't need a lot of fluff. Just be very pinpoint, accurate, to the point, and
they appreciate
it. Works with Maddox as well. Yeah, just be very straight to the point, and they actually really appreciate that because there's as things are going in here, it doesn't take a lot to filter that out. So it's something that in my own self, I like working with the work programs like that because we can just be very direct and helpful and guiding folks. So, and
they're not reading anything into it. There's no implied kind of like, they took the wrong
Yeah.
tone or they
Right.
They've
Here's
already
your
read
basic
your
choices.
heart way before you've gotten to a point of saying
absolutely.
anything.
They look in your
So,
eyes and they've got your number, and after that, it's just
yeah, absolutely.
Yep. That is so true. And I know some of your employees have their favorites.
Yeah.
As with any children, that happens. But they're pretty direct. Here's 2 choices. And if they can't make that decision fast enough, it'll be made for them, right? It's like, you know what I remember? You're doing the ranch. Because I want to give you choices.
Yeah.
But I also need to keep you direct.
Yeah. Teach you that life won't give you a lot of time to make those. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And delivery's the thing also, right? You're a very kind man. I can tell that you're very direct, but your delivery is what makes or breaks the student taking on what you're asking them to do.
Yeah. And direct doesn't have to be derogatory or not in love. It doesn't have to be any of those things. Right. It's just being clear and concise,
Yeah. You wear a lot of hats, and I liked your analogy earlier about it all comes from the same cup. There really is no balance. There's no kind of dividing it out. You get 25%, you get 10%, but with all of these hats that you wear, I mean, there's hundreds of thousands of people that can associate with that. There's, fathers of kids with unique abilities, and yet they are trying to somehow navigate the corporate world as well, and their marriage, and planning a future for their kids, supporting them. And what would you say to someone who is facing one or maybe all of those things in front of them? What is something that you would want to share with them to kind of reach out to them?
One, I would say find your faith and keep your faith strong. I think, 2, something you get to look forward to in this community is small moments just matter so much more. So with Maddox, I learned to enjoy just small things because I'm always so driven and competitive, and I want to win all the time, and when you have a unique abilities child, you're thinking about, oh gosh, don't get to win, and then I think about, him saying, Mom was at 3 years old. And, most people, they think, oh gosh, 3 years old, your kid didn't talk. And that was just so special to us, right? And all those little things you get to enjoy in life, those special moments, like just wearing a uniform becomes special. And you get so caught up in life and real world and these competition and those things are often overlooked. And when you talk to most people at the end of their life, they think about little tiny, just special things like that. So Maddox has allowed us to get these small little special moments that we probably would have never thought a lot about, right? Yeah, a kid saying their first word is always a big deal, but when it's been 3 years and they haven't said anything, it's just it's a triumph. At the First Hope, Maddox made his first friend that he knows by name and calls by name, and this never dreamed that would happen, right? And so that tiny moment that my kid has a friend, it's just, you can't replace that. So I would say for anyone that's dealing with those things is that you're going to get some really cool, tiny, special moments in your life that you probably wouldn't have enjoyed if you didn't get that. So and you'll probably need it because it's tough. So
Yeah. It's
funny because I joked with you before we started talking, and I said, God said to you, oh, no. This is your path.
yes.
This is your path.
Yes.
And not everyone can receive it the way that you can. You receive it, you embrace it, and you celebrate it.
Yeah.
And like you said, the outside world is saying, really?
Yeah.
And you're saying, oh, this is amazing. This is amazing. But
Yeah.
that is what will open the eyes to the rest of the world.
Yeah.
You know how you go to church and they say, spread the good news,
Right.
Spread
Yeah.
the gospel. Yes, I'm all for that. But spread the good news of these little things that Maddox does, because you should be proud of it.
Yeah.
It is huge. It
Yeah.
is huge.
I will say, it wasn't always easy to feel this way, right?
Right.
When we were first going through,
You were learning.
Yeah, an autism diagnosis, and obviously as men and women, they handle it different. Men are, you start thinking down this long road, of how things could go, and how you accept this, and at first, and Bethany and I really didn't talk about it. We didn't want to deal with it. He was still young, so it was easy to kind of hide. Now looking back on it, it's so easy to see,
Right,
but in that moment, we're
Right.
thinking,
Right.
we'll just kind of keep this under the rug. I don't want any special attention or anything weird.
Yeah.
And then you get to a point where that's not fair to him.
Right.
Like, somebody's got to stand up for those folks. Somebody's got to stand up. Somebody's got to continue to make community. Somebody has to continue to break down barriers. Someone has to continue to think about those little things that they need to do and learn. And so luckily, Bethany and I were able to really work and kind of learn and embrace that over time, going through those hardships and kind of figure that out, because it's not natural to feel that way. You naturally kind of want to hide or not accept or blame or all these negative things that come out of that. And really the only way you're going to get through it is kind of accept and embrace and try to make good things blossom out of that. So.
And I know that impact has, because you and your wife are very heavily involved in Maddox's education, which we benefit from. But the other parents, talk about community, right? Modeling that journey for other parents that are coming up, kind of behind you, and they're walking through these same exact steps, the same exact, the diagnosis, the acceptance, the what do we do now? What does life look like? What does my marriage look like? They're walking through all of these things. And maybe you're not aware of how much your just day-to-day involvement allows others to have a front row seat and impact their lives to see, okay, you know what? They're going through the same exact thing.
Yeah.
They have the same heartbreaks that we have. They have the same questions about the future that we have. And yet there's joy. There's togetherness, there's love. I mean, one thing that's apparent every time you and your wife come on our campus for whatever it is, because you're there a lot, right? Is just there's just so much love. It exudes from your family with your kids, with each other. And I think having the experience of a front row seat to that models it for other parents and inherently just provides hope. It really does. So thank you so much. You impact our school, you impact our lives, you impact our students.
Yeah,
you are
absolutely.
totally, completely changing the course of future for these kids.
Oh, goodness.
And
It's
I know.
true. I mean,
It's
seems
heavy. It's
yeah,
heavy.
that's
I
very
know.
heavy. Yeah.
But it's true.
Yeah.
And I know it's kind of hard to carry that because that's a lot of responsibility, but you are changing their trajectory for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
And that's absolutely priceless. So thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you for sharing with us. And we look forward to talking with you a little bit later too.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate being to talk about this stuff. It's great.
Thank you. It's yeah. You don't think you're our hero, but we have a lot of heroes, but
Yeah.
you really stepped in and gave us something big.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.